Hello everyone. So I'm back again with another discussion of what we are supposed to see in our newborn's mouth. Now, if you must have seen my previous video, it was about how we can take care of our child's teeth before they're even born. And as I've told you earlier, I'll try to cover things step by step. So now when we have our child in our hands, what are the things that we need to be aware of and see inside our newborn's mouth? So the very first thing, the entrance to the mouth are the lips. So in lips, we are supposed to see two things. First is the competence, that is whether both the upper and the lower lip are able to close properly, there's no disturbance, there's no abnormality, and then the shape. Now when I say competence, that is if the lips are closing properly and also if the individual lip, that is either the upper lip or the lower lip, is proper, it's complete. Now if you can see a picture on the left hand side, it shows a photograph of partial cleft lip. So that means that the upper lip in itself is not completed. That means it has got a cleft, it has got a gap, it has got a cut. Why? Because the two parts of the upper lip, while it was being formed inside the womb of the mother, was not able to join. So it will be treated. Yes, it's completely treatable, but there's a certain age to it. All of this discussion is important because if you see such a thing, a parent needs to understand that everything has got a proper protocol and it can be solved, it can be treated. So then the parent will take things very easy. He or she won't panic. Okay. Then the second thing is the shape. Now you can see on the right hand side, you see those pits. Okay. So it can either be a pit or it can also be a swelling. Okay. That swelling might have a liquid, it might not have a liquid. So there's no treatment required in this case. It's usually present, but then it resolves on its own. It ruptures on its own within the first month, and there's no treatment required. If at all there is a depression and it remains, then you can get it corrected. It's just, if you want to get it corrected for aesthetic reasons, you can get it corrected, otherwise it's not needed. Then the second thing that you see is called a frenum. Frenum is nothing but a small, you can say a narrow band of tissue, okay, that attaches the upper lip with the gums or the lower lip with the gums. Now in case of upper lip, okay, the frenum of the upper lip is quite thick as you compare to the frenum of the lower lip, and if it's thicker than the normal thickness, then we call it as high frenal attachment. So this also can be corrected, but not now. It usually is corrected when the child reaches the age of 11 or 12 years of age. So if you see something thick and bulky between the upper lip and the gums, then it means that it's a thick frenal attachment, it's a high frenal attachment. After the frenums, we see the gums, right? Now, when a child is born, basically in a newborn, there is something called as alveolar mucosa, okay? Now, initially, for a layman, it's difficult to understand what an alveolar mucosa is and from where does the gum start. So that region, the entire ridge wherein the teeth will come in future, just for understanding, I am telling you that they are gums. But essentially, the entire part of it is not gum. But for a layman to understand, you can understand the entire thing to be gums. Okay. Now, gum in medical language, it's called gingiva. So that is why whatever swelling you can see in the picture, those small white blisters, we call it as gingival cyst of the newborn. It's very commonly seen in 50% of the neonates, and the good part of it is that no treatment is required. It ruptures spontaneously, usually within the first 3 months of the birth. Okay, so you can either find them solitary, that is one or two, and it can be multiple in number also, like many of them can also be seen together. Or sometimes it might be discrete, that is, it can be distributed one at some place, then wide apart will be another, or you can see them clustered. You can see those papules together, okay, with a very smooth and translucent or pearly sort of a smooth surface, and they're not that big also, maximum 3 millimeters in size. So if you see something of this sort on the entire ridge, on the entire area where the teeth will appear in future, don't worry, just understand that it's very commonly seen. It's called as gingival cyst of the newborn, and it ruptures on its own and it gets resolved within the first 3 months. Now after the gums, we see the palate. And what's the palate? Palate is basically that area, you can say the roof of the mouth in layman language if I say, or the hard part which is palpated or which is felt behind your upper gums, right? So that hard palate continues down and goes further back into a soft palate. Okay, so this cleft or a gap can either be in the hard palate or in the soft palate or in the hard and soft palate both. Or sometimes it's been seen that there was a cleft in the lip, that is the upper lip, which continued back to the hard palate and also the soft palate. So it can be basically anywhere, and depending upon the age of the patient, that is where the cleft is, and also the age of the patient, it's decided that when to treat what kind of cleft. And then you can see on the right hand side there's something called as palatal cyst of the newborn. Now I suppose this central faint line, you might be able to appreciate it. There's a very faint line right in the center of the palate, right? So we call it as median palatal raphe. Don't go by the terms, just understand that if you find some small papular growth or some small papules in the, or basically on the raphe or on the central line or just beside the central line, it's a kind of palatal cyst. It's called as Epstein pearls, or it can be anywhere in the hard palate. Okay, so wherever it is, either on the central line or on the entire palate, it is a palatal cyst of the newborn. You need not to worry. This will also resolve on its own. Then you see something called as a tongue tie. Okay, now if you can see in this picture, or otherwise also if you can just feel it in your mouth, you see that your tongue is attached to the floor of your mouth, right, with some band of tissue, a very thin band of tissue, right? So that thin band of tissue is called as lingual frenum. If you remember, I had shown you in the previous slide, it's called as frenum. So that frenum or that thin band of tissue that joins your lung with the floor of the mouth, it's called as lingual frenum. And when that lingual frenum is too thick, right, then we call it as tongue tie. And in medical terms, it's called as ankyloglossia. So whenever your child is born, you need to see three things: whether the attachment of the tongue with the floor of the mouth is not that high or not that bulky. Why? If it's that high or if it's that bulky, it will restrict the movement of the tongue. And we see that tongue has got a very major role in a child suckling, right? So the child will not be able to suckle, or it will hinder his suckling if the tongue has got a high tie. That means if the frenum is quite high. Then you even need to see what is the size of the tongue. The tongue should not be large. It should not be hanging out of the mouth. It should not be occupying a lot of space in your oral cavity, right? So if you find that your child's tongue or your newborn's tongue is coming out or it's quite large, you, or even if you're having a doubt, please get it consulted with the pediatric. Okay. Then you even need to see the position. In some cases, we'll be seeing those cases in the next slides. In some cases, the tongue falls back. It's not in its normal position. Okay, now if the tongue falls back, it obstructs or it closes the air passage, and that way it becomes difficult for the child to breathe. Okay, so you need to be aware, you need to know these things, and whatever it is, problem specific treatment is provided. Then, okay, this is quite common, though you might not find it that common, but in our clinical practice, we've seen this quite often, especially when I was working in the government hospital. The lower incisors, that means those teeth that are present in front. So usually in the lower jaw, we call them incisors basically. Those teeth that are present in front, we call them incisors. And usually these incisors in the lower jaw, they are sometimes present right at the time of birth. Okay, so in that case, what happens is, if it's causing no problem, then it's okay. But sometimes it hurts the mother while the mother is feeding the child. So then in that case, you're supposed to remove it. Okay, it does not have that much of root development, so the extraction of it is very simple. The only thing advisable is, after the extraction has been done in a neonate, what you need to do is ask the baby to suckle. So that helps in blood clotting, and also soothes the child right after extraction. But in certain cases, if it's mobile, that means if the lower incisor is moving, it's not that strongly embedded in the bone, then in that case also it is advisable to get it removed, because there are chances of it being aspirated. Okay, so in that case also it's advisable that the teeth should be removed. Otherwise, if it's firm and if it's not causing any pain to the mother while she's feeding the child, then in that case you can leave it as it is, and with time this will be exfoliated on its own. Okay, now in this picture, as you can see, we see a very small lower jaw. See, in neonates, the lower jaw is anyway smaller, because the growth of the lower jaw is quite slow, and it is attained slower, it is attained later than the growth of the upper jaw. But in certain cases, it's even smaller. Like in this picture, you can see the lower jaw can be barely seen. So this is one feature of a very common syndrome. It's called as a Pierre-Robin syndrome. See, syndrome term comes in a medical language when there are more than one symptom. Okay, so whenever there's more than one symptoms, we collect them together and we give them a word of syndrome. So in this, together with small lower jaw, we can see that there's backward falling of the tongue also. So again, that will cause hindrance in the breathing of the neonate, and with that there's a cleft palate. And then you have something called as bifid uvula. So uvula is that small muscular hanging that you can see right before the entry into the pharynx or the throat, if you can understand. So in this case, as you can see, there's a bifid uvula. That means your uvula is bifurcated, or it's divided into two. Instead of one small tissue, you have basically a dip in between that tissue. It's absolutely normal. There's no problem in it. It does not require any treatment. It does not cause any discomfort. So these were some few things which I thought a parent should know about and should see in his or her child, because if a parent is equipped enough with the knowledge of what is there in the mouth, what should be there in the mouth, it's obviously a plus point for the child in his or her health maintenance and otherwise also. So that's it for today. Thank you so much. Hope you like my videos. Do let me know if there's something else you want to know, or there are some doubts which you feel should be cleared. I'll be more than happy to address them. Take care.